Ibrahim Traore's transition to power, from coup leader to Burkina Faso strongman. Captain Ibrahim Traore's rise to power was not just a simple military takeover, it was a calculated move that exploited public frustration, military discontent, and geopolitical shifts. Here's a deeper look at how he consolidated power after the September 2022 coup. 1. Immediate takeover, October 2022. Forcing Damaba's exit on September 30, 2022, Traore's faction took control of state media, military bases, and strategic points in Ouagadougou. Damaba initially resisted, holding up in the paramilitary base, the French-trained special forces stronghold, but surrendered after ECOWAS and religious leaders mediated. By October 2, Damaba fled to Togo, and Traore declared himself interim leader. Public legitimacy through anti-French sentiment. Traore framed Damaba as a puppet of France, claiming he was protecting French interests instead of fighting jihadists. Massive protests erupted in Ouagadougou, with crowds burning French flags and demanding Russian support instead. This anti-French wave helped Traore justify his coup as a patriotic correction rather than a power grab. 2. Consolidating power, late 2022-2023. Purges and loyalty enforcement. Traore reshuffled military leadership, removing officers suspected of loyalty to Damaba. He promoted young, loyal soldiers to key positions, ensuring control over the armed forces. Some dissenting voices were arrested or sidelined, though no large-scale purges occurred. Suspending democracy and delaying elections. The transitional charter was revised, extending military rule indefinitely. Originally, elections were promised for July 2024, but Traore later declared that security must be restored first, effectively postponing democracy. A new constitution was proposed, increasing presidential powers, but it remains in draft form. Leveraging Russian support. Traore officially expelled French troops, February 2023, and invited Russian mercenaries, Wagner Group, for security assistance. Burkina Faso signed military deals with Moscow, receiving weapons, drones, and training. Russian flags became common at pro-government rallies, symbolizing the regime's new alignment. 3. Governing style and challenges. A hardline counter-terrorism approach. Unlike Damaba, Traore rejected negotiations with jihadists, opting for all-out war. He launched large-scale offensives, like Operation Jamba in 2023, retaking some territory but failing to fully secure rural areas. Civilian militias, VDP, were expanded, but human rights groups accused them of abuses. Propaganda and control over media. State media heavily promotes Traore as a soldier of the people. Independent journalists face harassment, and some foreign outlets, like France 24, were banned. Social media is monitored, with pro-Traore trolls attacking critics. Economic and social struggles. Sanctions from ECOWAS were avoided, but the economy remains weak due to insecurity. Inflation and food shortages persist, though Traore blames foreign sabotage. Youth unemployment remains high, but his nationalist rhetoric keeps many supporters loyal. 4. Future prospects. Can Traore stay in power? Military loyalty. So far, the army backs him, but another coup is possible if jihadist attacks worsen. Russian backing, if Wagner support weakens, e.g., after Prigozin's death. Traore may face instability. Popular support. Many Burkinabés still see him as a strong leader, but patience is wearing thin as violence continues. Conclusion. A new era of military rule. Traore's transition was not just a coup, it was a strategic rebranding of Burkina Faso's governance, shifting from French influence to Russian-backed militarism. His rule remains unstable, but for now, he has successfully positioned himself as the nation's indispensable strongman. The leverage of Russian support in Ibrahim Traore's Burkina Faso. Since seizing power in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traore has strategically deepened Burkina Faso's ties with Russia, using this alliance to strengthen his regime militarily, politically, and economically. This shift has fundamentally altered Burkina Faso's geopolitical stance, replacing France's decades-long influence with Russian backing, particularly through the Wagner Group and state-level military agreements. 1. Why Burkina Faso turned to Russia? Anti-French sentiment as a catalyst. Traore capitalized on widespread frustration with France's counterterrorism failures in the Sahel. Many Burkinabes believed France was protecting its interests, like gold mines, rather than genuinely fighting jihadists. The ouster of French troops, completed in early 2023, was a popular move, framed as reclaiming sovereignty. B. Russia's opportunistic expansion in Africa. Russia, through Wagner mercenaries, had already established influence in Mali and the Central African Republic, CAR. The 2023 Niger coup, which also rejected France, created a pro-Russian junta bloc, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, allowing for greater military cooperation. Russia offered fast, no-strings-attached support, unlike Western nations that imposed human rights conditions. 2. Key forms of Russian support. A. Military and security backing. Wagner Group's role. Deployment of mercenaries, estimated 400 to 1,000 Wagner fighters, to train Burkinabe forces and assist in counterterrorism. Wagner operates in jihadist hotspots, eastern and northern Burkina Faso, providing special forces tactics, drone surveillance, and intelligence. Reports suggest Wagner is guarding gold mines, like the Pora mine, possibly in exchange for payment. Russian state military aid. Weapons shipments. Russia has supplied small arms, armored vehicles, and artillery. Training programs. Burkinabe officers receive instruction in Russian combat tactics. Propaganda support. Russian media, like RT, amplifies Traore's anti-Western narrative. B. Diplomatic and political leverage. UN and AU backing. Russia shielded Burkina Faso from harsh international condemnation, e.g., blocking sanctions. Alliance with Mali and Niger. The Alliance of Sahel States, AES, formed in 2024, is a pro-Russian military pact opposing Western influence. Symbolic gestures. Traore frequently wears Russian-style military uniforms, and Russian flags appear at government rallies. See economic and resource deals. Gold for arms trade. Burkina Faso's gold mines, some controlled by Wagner-linked entities, may be funding Russian military aid. Energy agreements, discussions on Russian nuclear energy, Rosatom, and fuel supplies to reduce reliance on Western markets. Infrastructure projects, potential future deals in roads, railways, and telecoms, similar to Wagner's role in CAR. 3. How Russia benefits from the partnership. A. Expanding influence in Africa. Burkina Faso is another strategic foothold in the Sahel, joining Mali, Niger, and CAR in Russia's orbit. Undermines France and the West, weakening NATO's influence in Africa. Access to gold and uranium. Burkina Faso has significant mineral wealth, which could help Russia evade sanctions. B. Wagner's survival after Prigozin's death. After Yevgeny Prigozin's 2023 mutiny and death, Wagner's Africa operations were restructured under Russian military intelligence, GRU. Burkina Faso's contract ensures Wagner remains relevant in Africa despite internal Russian power struggles. C. Testing hybrid warfare tactic. Russia uses Burkina Faso as a testing ground for asymmetric warfare, blending mercenaries, propaganda, and political manipulation. Success here could encourage further coups in other Francophone African nations. 4. Risks and challenges for Traore. A. Overdependence on Russia. If Wagner withdraws, as happened in some CAR operations, Burkina Faso's military could collapse. Russia's own war in Ukraine may limit long-term resources for Africa. B. Human rights concerns and isolation. Wagner has been accused of massacres in Mali, e.g., Mora massacre, raising fears of similar atrocities in Burkina Faso. The EU and US may impose secondary sanctions, hurting the economy. C. Jihadist threat persists. Despite Russian support, attacks continue, and some locals resent foreign mercenaries. If security doesn't improve, Traore could face another coup. Conclusion: a high-stakes gamble. Traore's embrace of Russia has boosted his short-term survival, but it comes with risks. If jihadist violence isn't curbed, or if Russia's support falters, his regime could face collapse. However, for now, the Russia-Burkina Faso